Hey my people, what's going on? This is Major TV. Let's talk. I want to talk about something that's been on my mind. But first I want to thank everybody for just tuning in, subscribing, and just showing all the support. I like the comments. You know, y'all blocking some comments, so I'm going to try to contact YouTube through the support team and see what's going on. I see a lot of racist and derogatory comments coming through. They don't even flag them, but when people be talking that real talk, I guess that black talk, they be blocking those comments. But I'm gonna definitely try to find out what's going on with that. I want to send out a shout out to a couple of my buddies, friends, Bro G and Bro Roland, man. They really family, you know, and we really talking about doing some things in the city where I'm from, New Orleans. So I want to send a shout out to them. But let me get to what I want to talk about. The history of the police department with the black community. We have to realize that the police department have an ugly, ugly history with the black community. If you watch the movie Detroit, and it was a white female that was a director of Detroit. And in this movie, they was trying to reflect on the tension that was going on in Detroit and around the country in the 60s. But blacks was treated so bad. It was being suppressed, marginalized, excluded, and treated very unfair. In this movie, and you gotta just look at the beginning of the movie, she drops so much history, a lot of history. She go to talking about after World War I, there was a great migration of 6 million black people heading to the north in hopes of factory jobs and civil rights. Then, after World War II, whites did a white migration, which we later went to call it the white flight, where when blacks came to the city, they left out, and when the suburbans created the suburbans, taking all the jobs and money and putting the suburbans. That's why when you look at all these small towns, let's say I'm from New Orleans, right? New Orleans is a big old city of majority black people, but on the outskirts, you got the Slidell, Louisiana. You got Metairie, Louisiana, right, and Jefferson, and you see how these cities, you know, just start to flourish, right? Because one time a lot of jobs and all that was in New Orleans, and they took them out New Orleans and created them suburbs, right, surrounding areas, and that happened all around the major cities, right? And the black community was starved out. Then they sent the police in, right? Largely white police, who are known to be very aggressive toward black, right? And you had cities like Watts, Philadelphia, New York, Detroit, and several others that just went in uproar because of the Berlin print, right? Of all that had been going on, and that so-called problem for civil rights and opportunities in working in factories and so forth, so on, that was an illusion. She speaks about it in the beginning of her movie, right? When we go back to the early 20th century, you know, and Red September 1919, when 26 cities across the United States had a lot of racial tension, and it spoiled into a big old situation where it was a racial war, right? White mobs attacking blacks, and blacks defending themselves. And I mean, there was a lot of ex-military people from World War I that was putting them guns up and was shooting back at white people. They killed the majority of the blacks, but blacks were killing them too. But in the end, we got the worst end of the stick because a lot of people injured. It was homeless. It was in the thousands, right? But that was a turning point, whereas black people wasn't going to be just sitting around just let them do what they want to do us, right? And then thereafter, you had the tussle Oklahoma Black Wall Street incident. Then you had the Roswell incident. So my 1919, the Red Summer situation, right? And then you had 1921, the Tulsa, Oklahoma, in 1923, the Rosewood. And all this was instigated racist attacks against black people. And I don't want to go off the historical data. I have to read about race attempt and the racial tension that took place. And they try to compare it 100 years to now what's going on when NFAC hit the scene and whatnot. And the Berlin part, because the same thing happened then, well, when I explained that about the United States government versus the Black Power movement, how it was a Berlin part, right? Well, all this stuff we were supposed to be promising, what have you, from the slavery up into going, from slavery being abolished up into going through the early 20th century to get in the 60s and 50s and 60s, it was just, in the 70s, it was just a bunch of rhetoric. It was a Berlin point in the movie they talk about in Detroit. Well, that's how, it was like around the country was going on like that. And it's culminating right now, leaving out 6 and 7s after the COINTELPRO kind of destroyed the movement, right? And left only remnants and members and surviving people that's no longer really active in the movement, other than, you know what I'm saying, Mr. Farrakhan, you know what I'm saying? And when you look at it, you know, and when I say active, I know people still talking about it from back in the day, like the Angela Davis and what have you, Sasha Cruz, you know, they out here, you know what I'm saying? Just Jackson, all of them out here, but they're not as vocal. Even the minister not as vocal, right? Because they're old now. But to make a long story short, it's only remnants of what really was going on. And now we at a point where we went through the 70s, 80s, 90s, we're in the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? And this has been very little change. Yeah, you have black millionaires, have some black billionaires. You have thriving black people. But there are only a few compared to millions and millions of black people that's suffering because of discriminatory practices and systemic racism. You feel me? And we don't, like, for me, personally, I see the black community. I know this black community that's thriving, doing good. But I'm really talking about poor black communities. Black communities that the government, I'm talking about federal state, actually focus on not doing what they should do to helping these people. All the problem of poor black communities, I'm talking about poor black communities. That's real poverty, you know what I'm saying? And you have all this crime, this violence, these drugs, because why? Just ask yourself why. Because the way they paint the picture, like, oh, they really don't want nothing. They're a lost cause, they can't be fixed and helped. That's the picture they paint. Then they compare a white community versus a black community, which we know is a lot of trailer, trash, areas where all them trailer parks and poor whites, what have you. What you ever see on, all ever see on TV, all ever hear about it, that's living as worse or worse. But they don't want to see, they don't want to show you that because they want to always paint the picture like they're doing better than us, right? But they are suffering too. But speaking about the black community, we're suffering largely because the government is turning their back on us. And you got to really be happy to see the progress in the black community in the sense of some thriving black neighborhoods and thriving black people, because it was never designed for us to really be successful and grow like we did. And when they saw the police in the neighborhood, the goal was to seek and destroy. Point blank, whether locking you up, beating you, or killing you. That's the history. When I talk about what happened, the Red Summer of 1919, and the black cities that was fighting with whites because some BS, some casing, some racist casing on blacks or what have you, get mad because blacks protesting, get mad because blacks went somewhere they were supposed to be, on the beach or what have you, where would have been no whites and no blacks and what have you, whatever the case might be, right? The police will come and help them. The government will come and help them. Same with the 60s. Same with the 60s. The police coming out community to do what? Beat us, arrest us, shoot us down like dogs. Look what's going on right now. I was just in New Orleans a week or so ago. I woke up to seeing a bunch of police just sitting in the parking lot. All on plot. Guess what? In the heart of New Orleans, want to go in the black community. They concentrated to go in the black community and do what? Terrorize. But they wonder why people don't work with them. They wonder why black people don't trust them. Neighborhood don't trust them. Because your whole job has been to go in the neighborhood and terrorize us, to place fear in us. Now here, we are taxpayers paying their salary. But they treat us like dogs. They treat us less than human. You can't even challenge them in the conversation where you say, hold up, man, I didn't do this. Or why you pulling me over? Or why you want to search my vehicle? They will take a simple stop, and they probably won't be valid in stopping you. But go through your entire stuff. And the sad part, you have black people that go in the police system that get brainwashed easily under that blue shield. Whereas they don't really want to be black when they got the uniform on. And the few that is black and that's trying to do something right in the community, they kicked out the force. They get suppressed. They get silenced. And some of them conform to the system and break. We don't need this. We don't need them to have the attitude like, well, we don't want to work with y'all because y'all don't work with us. What you mean? Your job is to protect and serve. If you know there is no violence going on, if you know there's nothing that requires you to have the reaction you having, why are you doing this? Why are you being so aggressive when you talk? Why are you pulling me over? Why when we call you coming to immediately think about arresting somebody or locking them up? And the sad part about it, you have a lot of white cops in black neighborhoods that don't even understand how it feel to be black, how it feel to be in a position where you always looked at differently. You always treated differently. You always treated as though you did something wrong, especially if the police called. You hardly ever given the benefit of the doubt. The trust level with the black community is valid because the police are race soldiers, especially the white cops. They really race soldiers. And for the black cops, they just caught between the black community and being the police. But they can actively work with the system. The system, there wouldn't be no system, and there wouldn't be a lot of jobs if it wasn't for arresting black people. You wouldn't need no judges, criminal judges, you wouldn't need no criminal attorneys, wouldn't need no criminal prosecutors, wouldn't need no police like talking about it, wouldn't need prisons. This is a business. It's all on the stock market. So how can you trust somebody? Their whole aim and goal is to take you down. How can you trust a system that's forever lying to you and telling you something that's not true? It's just crazy. Like, so when you look at early 20th century, even prior to that, longer than that, after slavery and whatnot, all the nonsense black people have been going through. How the police been sunning the black community to bring wreak havoc. This is not a game, y'all. Our babies now of being victimized in the most horrible way. They're already killing us as black men, even the women. This is not a game anymore. This is not something you just kick the shit with and blah, blah, blah. It's time for reaction, you know. And the reaction can be in a form, you know. But definitely a reaction whereas we ain't taking it anymore. I always wanted to believe that things can get right and better for black people. And that this nation could see its sins, but it's not a reality at all. And it's not much you can say about when I look at the black community and the history of the police department. Even with your black mayors and black chief of police, you still have these same problems that have been going on 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, going on now in a whole different way. I don't know. I just know if y'all watched that movie, y'all watched the beginning of that movie, Detroit, a lot is being said. It ran us out the country, sent us to the city. Then the whites took the jobs, went to the suburbs, took the money and everything, starved us out, and they sent the police at us. Every time we had a situation where there was a situation where we were getting some kind of miscommunication or drama with whites, the police would get involved. Lord, because we did protest about the injustice or them saying something we did. It never can to quell the situation. Right now, in 2021, if I get into a white person right now and the white police come, you know what's going on, right? He ain't trying to quell the situation and try to work it out. Automatic at me as a guilty party. Automatic thing is my fault. And I done been in situations where I had been in wrecks where the white person be down bad, right? But the white officer be so nice, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes they don't even want to write the ticket to them. Even though you have to go to the police department and make them write a ticket, they wouldn't even write a ticket. It's some bold stuff going on out here. But I don't have no faith in the system, police department, anything. I have faith in me and our community. Because it's an old saying, when you put your faith in the system, they always will let you down. And those who work inside the system, a lot of that brown nosing, kissing ass, etc., they get along to get ahead. I ain't the type of brother. You know what I'm saying? That's why I stress about staying on your own 2 feet. Thinking and knowing how to navigate and move. Because if you know all the chips are stacked against you, there's no excuse if you get caught in that well. If you get caught in that well, you gotta know how to deal with that. Because there's nothing but a well out there. And they're that big giant spider trying to kill insects. Which is people, us. You know, and if we don't see the big picture of how they're out to destroy us, our baby's gonna stay getting hurt. They're gonna keep killing us. If we're gonna constantly be fighting among each other while they gradually dominating us. Gradually just reduce us to little or nothing. We just only holding on by a tree limb. Because there's an influx of other people coming to this country, black people gonna fall farther and farther behind. And it's just sad because We're such a great people. We're such a beautiful people. We're such intelligent people. We caught in this maze though. We're in the matrix. And figuring out something like this hardest thing for any black person to do. I think y'all got my part. Y'all, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell if you want latest content. Y'all like, share, y'all comment and see, and let me see where y'all coming from. Let me know how y'all feel about this conversation. If there's anything y'all want me to talk about, y'all put it in the comments and what have you. But it's crazy what's going on around us, you know. It's really crazy and it bothers me a lot. So, y'all stay focused. Y'all stay on cool. And just be black. Peace.